I have 15 great belt brands for you today that I'm going to highlight, all with high sell-through rates, so let's jump right in. The first brand is Smathers and Branson with a current sell-through rate of 167%. Now keep in mind, sell-through rates are constantly changing. So just use these sell-through rates that I'm going to give you throughout the video as a loose starting point, but make sure to look up the specific belt when you are outsourcing to make sure it's going to be a good pickup for your store. There are currently 324 active listings for Smathers and Branson's men's belts. I did filter for you since that's what we generally find predominantly out in the wild when we're sourcing. And when we filter to solds, we see there are 540 active listings. So definitely a great brand to keep an eye out for. I researched probably over 50 belt brands in preparation for this video, and I have to say these belts were probably my very favorite that I came across. They just have a lot of really cool, unique designs. As you can see, most of these are all needlepoint, and that's a key word that you're definitely going to want to include if you do come across a needlepoint belt. And if you're unfamiliar with what a needlepoint belt is, it's just a belt that has this needlepoint design on it. It reminds me of a cross stitch. So really, anytime you come across a needlepoint belt when you're outsourcing, it's definitely worth looking it up. Some of these go for decent money. This belt went for $65 plus shipping, $45 plus shipping, and then this Austin Golf Club one went for $115. So some great money to be had if you are lucky enough to come across one of these. And then here is the brand up close, so you know what to keep an eye out for. Generally, you'll find it on the inside of the belt. This one says Smathers and Branson, hand-stitched needlepoint. Next up is a brand called Mission Belts, and it currently has a sell-through rate right at around 170%. There are currently 27 pre-owned belts listed right now, so the market size isn't huge. There are 46 that have sold within the past 90 days. Some of these might be harder to find out in the wild, but it's always good to be aware of them. Where we live here in Utah, this is a brand that we come across quite a bit, but I know in other regions it may not be as prevalent, and vice versa with some of these other brands. You can see here that these aren't going to bring in a ton of money. Most of these are selling for around $20 to $25 plus shipping. So this is definitely one of those brands that I would keep an eye out for while I am yard selling or at the bins. And just a quick friendly reminder, make sure to check the condition of the belt before picking it up. Especially with dress belts, condition is important. I actually just came across a Mission belt the other day at our thrift store, and I ended up leaving it behind because it was so chewed up. And then here's the tag on the inside of the belt, so you know what to keep an eye out for. These belts are a ratchet style belt. They're sometimes called track belts as well. And all that means is it just has this ratchet system that it uses to cinch the belt down rather than having the holes that a traditional belt has. Number 3 is Edmonds with a sell-through rate currently right at around 150%. There are 425 active listings, and filtering to solds, we see that 635 have sold. So great sell-through. And you can see here by the market size that it is a more common brand. It might be more prevalent out in the wild. So it's a great one to keep an eye out for. This leather belt just sold for $30 plus shipping. Here's one that sold for $50 plus shipping. That's suede. And I know probably most of us are familiar with Edmonds as far as dress shoes go, but don't overlook their belts as well. They can be a great pickup. And then here is the branding. I know this is one that you're probably familiar with, but just in case, Edmonds, handcrafted in USA. Number 3 is the brand Saddleback with a sell-through rate currently of 233%. Now, there are only 3 listed, so this one's not going to be very prevalent out in the wild, but it's good to be aware of. Filtering to solds, there are 7 that have sold. You can see that if you are lucky enough to come across one of these, they can bring in good money. This one sold for $100 plus shipping. This one sold for $49, and then this one sold for $80. Full grain is a great keyword to include in your title if you come across a belt that is made out of full grain leather. That generally denotes high quality leather and is a quality people often look for when they are searching for belts. And then here is the branding up close. Saddleback Leather Company. And this is a little harder to see here, but it says made in Old Mexico. Number 5 is the brand Hanks with a current sell-through rate of over 180%. There are currently 55 active listings, and filtering to solds, we see that there are 99 that have sold within the past 90 days. Hanks belts are known for their quality and longevity, and you can see here that they can bring in decent money. This one sold for $48.99 plus shipping, $56.99 plus shipping. And then this one even sold for $75 plus shipping. And then here's the branding for you. It says Hanks belts on the inside, 100-year belts. Number 6 is a style rather than a brand, and that is men's needlepoint golf belts. There are currently 283 active listings, and we see that there are 329 that have recently sold. So here's a Smathers and Branson's Country Club Brookline that sold for $200. A Peter Millar Georgia Bulldogs belt, which I know is football, but they use the keyword golf, which is a great keyword to use if it's applicable. And this one sold for $89.97 plus $5.99 shipping. And then last but not least is this Peter Millar Marion Golf Club embroidered needlepoint logo belt, sold for $119.97 plus shipping. And here's that belt up close, Peter Millar. And you can see here it's not in the greatest condition. Anytime you come across needlepoint belts, anything with unique subject matter, definitely take a minute to look it up. Number 7 is the brand Groove Life with an insane sell-through rate. When I calculated this out, it was like 1,850%. And I know there's some controversy regarding calculating sell-through rate in this manner, but the bottom line is know this brand and keep an eye out for it. There are only 2 active listings, so I know it's not one of those that's super prevalent, but filtering to solds, there are 37 that have sold in the past 90 days. And this belt sold for $39.99 plus shipping. This one sold for $35 plus shipping and $29 plus shipping. So it's not going to bring in a ton of money, but this one should move really quickly for you if you come across this. And here is a close-up of the logo. It's GL for Groove Life. It has a magnetic clasping system. And then on the outside, generally you'll see the logo also kind of in that bottom right-hand corner. So just a few things to keep an eye out for. Number 8 is the brand Polo Ralph Lauren with a sell-through rate just over 100%. This is a brand that we all know. For me, as far as clothing goes, I am very selective in what I pick up from this brand. But as far as belts go, they seem to have a really solid sell-through rate. You can see there are 852 active listings. And when we filter to solds, we see 856 have sold. And you can see here that they bring in decent money, $39.97 plus shipping, $27.95 plus shipping. This one sold for $20 plus shipping. And then this one sold for $199 plus shipping. It is made out of genuine American alligator. So that's another thing to keep an eye out for when you are outsourcing belts. Look for exotic skins like alligator, snake, ostrich, those sorts of things. They can bring in good money. This one sold for $92.50 and shipping, and it's another exotic skin belt made out of genuine black lizard. Here's the logo. We're all familiar with that, Polo Ralph Lauren. And then here is the material listed right by the logo on the inside of the belt. This one also has a sterling silver belt buckle, so that's another thing that it has going for it. So make sure you pay attention to what the belt buckle is made out of as well. Generally, materials like sterling silver can command a higher price. Okay, we are over halfway through this list. Hang in there. There's still some great brands ahead. And if you find this video helpful, please take a minute to like and subscribe. I appreciate it so much. Number 9 is the brand Travis Mathews with a sell-through rate of 180%. There are currently 15 active listings, so not a lot actually, and 27 that have sold. I do feel like this is a more common brand though, so it's hopefully one that you'll come across more regularly outsourcing. This one sold for $27.99 plus shipping, $30 plus shipping, and this one was actually made out of canvas. Generally, you're looking for belts made out of leather and higher quality materials, but don't discount belts like this. They're made out of canvas, but they have a unique pattern on the outside. These braided golf stretch belts can do really well as well. Here's another braided golf belt sold for $24.99 plus shipping. These are both Quater by Travis Mathew. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but as you can see here, it just says Quater on the buckle, and nowhere on the belt am I seeing Travis Mathew. So just something to be aware of if you come across a belt like this. It says Quater. Take a minute to look it up. And then here's an example of the more traditional Travis Mathew belt. It has the M here on the buckle. And then here on the inside, it says Travis Mathew, genuine leather. Number 10 is the brand Nexbelt. That's N-E-X. And it currently has a sell-through rate right at 67%, which is actually on the lower end than I'd like. But when I was doing this research just a couple of days ago, the sell-through rate was at 100%. So just a great reminder that they can fluctuate constantly. And I feel that this is still a great brand to be aware of. There are currently 436 active listings, so a fairly decent market size. And then filtering to solds, 293 that have sold. This one sold for $53.95, free shipping. Another one right at $50 and free shipping. It seems that most of these are right around that $50 mark. And this one sold for $78. And this gun belt sold for $89.99, free shipping. And then here's a close-up on the belt. It has this N here on the buckle. And it says Nexbelt here on the back side of the buckle. And it's also here on the inside, Nexbelt, the belt with no holes. Number 11 is the brand Tecovas with a current sell-through rate of 141%. There are currently 50 active listings, and filtering to solds, 82 that have sold. This nylon belt sold for $30. Granted, it's vintage and has Western vibes. And then here's one made out of alligator that sold for $99.99, and another one made out of lizard leather that sold for $74.90 plus shipping. And then here's a good example of ostrich leather. This one sold for $80. Here is the brand Tecovas, and then this particular belt says handmade in Mexico, genuine US calfskin. Number 12 is the Nike G-Flex belt with a current sell-through rate of 88%. There are 75 active listings, and there are 66 that have sold within the past 90 days. And these are selling for around $20 to $25 plus shipping on average that I'm seeing. So it's another one of those that you're just going to want to make sure you pick it up for $1 or $2. Keep an eye out when you're yard selling at the bins. Sometimes our thrift stores mark up belts, and I'm not going to pay $8 for this. So this is definitely one of those that you're going to want to make sure the buy cost is low enough. And then here's what to keep an eye out for on this one. It has a little label that says G-Flex right under the buckle. I will zoom in for you. Here it is zoomed in. Number 13 is the brand CC Filson with a sell-through rate currently of 88%. There are 44 active listings, and filtering to solds, 35 that have sold. CC Filson is a great brand all around. If we come across their clothes, it's generally an automatic pickup, and the belts are no exception. You can see here this belt sold for $70. Another one sold for $65. And then here is one of the belts close up. Seattle, made in the USA, CC Filson. Number 14 is actually a material rather than a brand, and that is shell cordovan. Currently, men's shell cordovan belts have a sell-through rate of 121%. There are 19 active listings and 23 that have sold. So shell cordovan is a very rare leather. It's not one that's going to be really prevalent out in the wild, but it's a good material to be aware of. It can command a very high price if you come across this. This belt sold for $40 plus shipping, but then you can see this one sold for $117, $83.91, and a couple more that sold for over $100. So I was curious what made this material so desirable and valuable, and it is a type of leather that comes from the fibrous connective tissue of a horse's rump, also known as the shell. It's expensive because only a small part of the horse is used. So for example, a single shell from one horse would be enough to make one pair of shoes. Also, the tanning process takes about 6 months. So I thought that was really interesting. Definitely keep an eye out for anything made out of shell cordovan, whether it's bags, coats, belts, shoes, etc. Definitely consider picking that one up if you come across that. Here is a close-up of a belt that's made out of shell cordovan. This is actually a Brooks Brothers belt. We're pretty selective with that one. But you can see this belt sold for $83.91 because it was made out of shell cordovan. And the material, as you can see, is shown right here on the inside of the belt. Here's one more example. This is a belt made by Ben Silver, made in Canada. It sold for $99 plus $8 shipping. And you can see here, it is made out of genuine shell cordovan. So that's definitely a type of leather that you are going to want to keep an eye out for. The last brand with a sell-through rate of 111% is Anson. There are currently 27 active listings and 30 that have sold. This one sold for $20 plus shipping, $50 plus shipping, and then this one sold for $25 plus shipping. So this one's not going to bring in a ton of money most likely, but it can be a decent flip if you can pick it up for a couple of dollars. And then here's a close-up of the belt. You can see here on the buckle it says Anson, and it's not as easy to see here on the inside, but it says Branson, making the belt hole obsolete. A few other things to be aware of when you are outsourcing belts. Look for things like the word full grain. There are different tiers of leather, and full grain is definitely one of the more desirable. If you come across one that says bonded leather, that generally is less desirable. Look for buckles that have the 925 sterling silver mark. Also keep your eye out for unique Western belt buckles. Sometimes the buckle alone can sell for really good money. Look for belts that have the brand spelled out on the outside. And also just be aware of condition. Make sure the buckles all work. Make sure the holes aren't all stretched out, or that the leather is really wrinkled and in rough shape. Another keyword to be aware of is hand-tooled. Here are some examples of hand-tooled belts. It generally has a design that looks like it was hand-tooled in. So that's an easy way to remember that. I apologize. I know it's been a minute since I posted a video. I've been trying to get caught up on eBay and get our death pile tackled. And I've been trying to find that healthy balance between being present for my kids and still juggling eBay and YouTube, and it can get really challenging. I know that you can probably relate as you are juggling the many things in your life as well. I appreciate you being patient with me. I appreciate you being here. And the comments that you leave, letting me know that a video was helpful, makes my day and makes it feel worth it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I'm working on a couple of other cool videos that I'm hoping you'll like, so make sure to stay tuned and subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next one.